of it is ready, set, go. Under the prep, we talk about ready. We've planned. We've got our defensible space. We've got our tubs with all our water, 72 hours for the food. You might have your generator. I've got a trailer. Whatever it is that you think you might need, and there's a fire in the area, or there's a chlorine leak, or this earthquake has just happened. That is when it's time to be on alert, grab your stuff, get it in your car, make sure you've got gas in your car, and be ready to go. And you may have hours, days, minutes. But that's where we're trying across the country to put some emphasis on, you've done your planning, but now you're on alert, be ready to go. And don't mess around. It's time to go. And even before search and rescue knocks on your door, or the sheriff comes by with a high-low siren and a horn that says, get out now, don't be afraid to go. Just get out. Go somewhere, go wherever it is, whatever your plan is, put it in motion.
Katie, do you have any advice for those who've got propane tanks near their home? If there were to be shake, rattle, and roll, any issue there?
I've seen a propane tank levee before. I wouldn't want to be anywhere around it. I would hope that it's not right up close to your house or that you're anywhere nearby. I have no idea what you could do. I certainly wouldn't want to get up next to it trying to turn it off. I don't know the rules on. Do you have suggestions on propane tanks? I worked the earthquake in Los Angeles, January 24th, 1994, the Northridge earthquake. Many, many, many fires because the gas lines broke. Very good, very good. I like that. I would do that at my house. And so there's structure fires.
I grew up in San Gabriel Valley, so.
I was amazed. Things you don't think about. Well, okay, so the earth shook a little bit. My foundation's damaged. I got some drywall cracks, but my gas line is broken and exploded. My house is on fire, and so fire crews are then diverted from other potential catastrophes to your structure fire if there's life involved, because they don't know. And that's part of this mass casualty incident drill. The other point that I wanted to make, because you guys are all going to make good points and I won't take up your thunder, I recently had the opportunity to speak with a gal who's doing research in Australia following the Black Saturday fires. And in Australia, you guys might know that they had a policy, a national policy that said, do all your defensible space. When the flame front comes, you protect yourself inside your home, and then you go back out as soon as the flame front is over, and you mop up all the spot fires around your house. And that policy is not exactly in place anymore. They've made a few changes, but one of the things that came out of that research was whatever the material was went home, and they found out that not everybody in the house was as prepared. And that stood out to me, and this is no comment, male versus female, but it's the dynamics of your household. At my house, my husband's the one who runs the chainsaw. I don't get near that thing. He runs the lawnmower. If there's any working parts, I'm not in there. Well, he works for Chief Moore, so if we have a subduction zone event, he's not going to be at my house to help me. So I have to know where the stuff is to evacuate. I have to make sure it's ready to go. I have to make sure that I have what it takes to get out, because my husband's going to be busy, you know, because 911's going to be ringing off the hook. So that's not a comment on male versus female, but just make sure everybody in your house, not just you, and kids included, you know, and even whatever the appropriate level is, engage your kids. Questions? How many feet of defensible space should you have?
30.
Most of us don't even
Wow,
know
see,
yard
That's right.
There's no space on it.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I brought along part of our process in developing the evacuation plan was to purchase 3,000 of these very, very reflective, which are kind of dirty, but signs. And if you've been out to Tundra Crossing or other places around the county, Tundra is the first place we've done it in Redmond. And if you're trying to get out of Tundra Crossing, these will help you. But they are designed specifically to work in, lost my train of thought.
Is that bridge going to be survivable?
What's that?
Is that bird even going to be there back in Denver?
Might not be. But we have our county forester, who's an incident management leader across the country. He will come out to your neighborhood, your high-risk neighborhood, as determined by that plan that Chief talked about. And we will give you signs, the hardware, the posts, everything you need to put these in the right place, and map your neighborhood on a great big 4-foot map, and give it to the leaders in your neighborhood. Also, one for the sheriff's office for search and rescue, one for the fire department, and the location of these signs is mapped on those maps for you. So to help your efforts, we've got some ways to partner up that can help folks be thinking about how to get out of the neighborhood and give them some.
Because you're like our road board, I live out in Lake Park Estates. So the road board would have to contact you to get those signs?
You can contact me.
Okay, we have 3 entrances, 3 entrances and exits out there, and that's it.
Yeah.
And the canal at the east end.
So my number's on that orange flyer.
Okay.
You can call me, and I know because I've done the plan once before, Lake Park Estates is one of our highest risk areas in the Redmond area, and that's exactly what we want to do. Especially 3 exits is good, but if it's dark and it's smoky and your headlights catch, this is super highly reflective for that reason, because it is smoke in the dark and you're scared,
And everybody's fighting to get out the one
and
exit
everybody's
is
fighting to
available.
get out, and we are losing people across the country in evacuations, which is why we focus on go early, get out, take your stuff, go. Don't wait till the last minute. Certainly don't think you can save something by sticking around. So if you're interested in these signs as a community, let me know. I can hook you up. Questions?
Thank you. Jeff Wilcox is a National Guard. He's also a volunteer for being part of that command and control, all-time involved, and is looking at even starting to perhaps prepare our high school students and ultimately middle school students in doing some kind of emergency preparedness. And we're looking at even doing proficiency in first aid and CPR. So those are goals that we'll be looking at. But Jeff, if you'll say a few words, then we'll turn it over to Lake Search and Rescue. And then I want to give you all the opportunity to ask questions of our panel before we leave.
Hi, my name is Sergeant Wilcox. And the one thing that I honestly wanted to point out from listening to everybody is I wrote an essay in Project Wildfire. That was pretty cool. I've been on just about every disaster preparedness and survival website you can find on the internet. There's tons of them. Because about a year and a half ago, I started getting my master's in disaster preparedness. One thing that I'll tell you about is there's some good websites and there's some crazy ones. I'd recommend going to the American Red Cross website or ready.gov. They actually have lists and plans to help you develop a plan for your family. They can have contact information cards because a lot of people have phone numbers saved in their cell phone, and when the batteries go dead, you no longer have the numbers for people. I don't remember a lot of people that I call off, and I don't remember their phone number because I never dial it. I just go to the index. But the place to learn about disaster preparedness is at Drill Sergeant Billy Bob's Survival.com store. Because they have a lot of stuff. And anytime you see a word called Tiwati, just go away from the site. That means the end of the world as we know it. Because you can get turned in, you'll be looking for disaster preparedness, next thing you know, you're on some nutty Aryan nation's website. Seriously, you gotta watch out. So go to ones that end in .gov. They're the best place to go. We were talking about going to developing plans. One thing that I'd like to reiterate is start thinking contingencies. Every time you come up with a plan in the military, one thing that we always say is you want to follow basically the commander's intent. No matter how good your plan is, it won't work. We go into every operation anticipating that whatever we're going to do won't eventually work. So you have to have contingencies. If this doesn't work, then what? Who has kids in school? My daughter goes to Redmond High. If a major disaster happened, how are you going to get hold? What happens? You're at work, they're there. What are they going to do? Even active shooter scenario. What happens? See, that's something to think about.
Well, call with their boyfriend.
Right. You call them on the cell phone. You may not have cell service. It could be absolute chaos. Part of your build a kit, make a plan, stay informed, which is what Ready.gov and the American Red Cross both teach, is you're making a plan. It's contingencies. If you can't get them on the cell phone, where are you going to meet with your family so you can become reunited? Anyway, that's just part of my plan. The other thing I'd like to talk about is when you still go to Billy Bob's Survivalist warehouse online, watch out. They'll have a gigantic package you can buy that includes 50,000 pounds of grain and 5 AK-47 assault rifles. You don't need that. It can seem expensive because people say it's too expensive to prepare, but it's not. American Red Cross certified emergency radio that has the crank on it costs, I think, about $35 from Radio Shack. So if $35 is the threshold that that's probably the biggest item you'll buy. Just say I'm going to buy whatever I normally would buy for food and so forth, but I'm going to take $35 a month and spend on that disaster preparedness kit. You'll have one like that. And then when you get to 72 hours, keep going, make it a week, make it a month. Before you know, you'll have, just be sure to rotate your food stocks. That's what I do. So it isn't like, hey, this stuff's going to cost me $1,000 and I have to put it in. One more thing, they talked about an evacuation plan, do what's called a map reconnaissance. I got my start in the infantry and cavalry. Whenever you go to, say, I'm going to go to such and such, my parents live in John Day, which wouldn't be a great place to go right now, but whenever you have a plan, look at how many bridges you might have to cross. If there's an alternative route to not go around those bridges, do it. And whatever your route is, go back and drive it. Actually do it. Don't just look at them and say, oh, the burns. It might be harder than you think. So, go ahead.
You're talking about rotating food stocks. I also have a month's supply of everybody's medication in my house. Okay, prescription meds. And what you do is, like, you can order your prescription 5 to 7 days before it's due. So you have 5 to 7 pills. And what you do is you take those 5 to 7 pills and put them in a bottle. And then the next month you add 5 to 7 more, and then you start rotating that stock until you have a good supply of each one.
The American Red Cross has lists that do cover that, along with Ready.gov and FEMA. That's just really all you're going to need to know to come up with a really good plan is on those checklists. It covers just about every scenario.
No, I just know my son has epilepsy, so I have to make sure that I have his meds on him.
Absolutely, that was a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. And then one more thing really quick is, we've got some folks in here who are older than I am. And back in the 1940s and 50s, possibly, you probably didn't need a huge warning system. You probably didn't need the Red Cross as much as you do now in our community. And I think one of the main reasons for that is people tended to be involved in their community through churches and so forth. Am I right? And so one thing that did is it let us look at vulnerable populations within our community. Through Taproot, think about the elderly person who lives on your street that has trouble getting around and so forth, because if you had some sort of mass casualty event, in every disaster there's an increase in crime. We look at Katrina and everything else. We can't say it's the police or the fire department's job to go check on our neighbors to see if that elderly person is going to be okay. We should do it too. And if you belong to an organization of any kind, a church, a bowling league, whatever, you're going to make contacts in the community, and that'll give you an opportunity to spread the word about disaster preparedness, and also help you make a note on, hey, if something bad happens, I need to go check on Miss Jones, who lives down the street, to make sure she's okay. Anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you, Jeff. Blake from Search and Rescue, would you like to say a few words and then we'll have our questions of the entire panel?
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts. I'm with the Shoot Search and Rescue. I teach navigation classes and wilderness survival classes up at COCC. Just a couple of thoughts on survival. Survival has become a really big topic. May 21st is supposed to be a big event day coming up. It's like Y2K all over again. One of the things I found in survival is there's a lot of books out there, just like the websites, that you really want to think about. For example, one of the books for fire starting, somebody has decided that you take a pop can because it's got a parabolic reflector. You take chocolate and you're going to